my name is Nicole S, and my research question is, to what extent does bullying on social media influence suicide rates among teenagers from the ages 13 to 18 in the United States? For my research question, I further developed my claim that cyberbullying on social media has led to an increase of suicide rates among teenagers from the ages 13 to 18. To further explain, social media is the use of web-based and mobile technologies to turn communication into an interactive dialogue. The evolution of social media has had over 3 phases, including email, web pages such as Wikipedia, and our current phase, social media, which involves Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now, this can be further elaborated on in my stimulus, Social Media and the Movement of Ideas by Edward Kessler. As can be seen today, social media has become fundamental, and society has allowed for the expansion and adaptation to where we indulge on it on a day-to-day basis, and we find it difficult to live without, and this will only grow more from here. The reason for this is that social media allows communication and can be used as a connection tool for initiating and building and maintaining positive dialogue. But of course, social media has its negative aspects, and because of its increase, it also makes it easier for misinformation and for negative content to be out, especially with teenagers. Just to show you, according to Monica Anderson and Jingjing Jiang from Pew Research Center, 95% of teens have access to smartphones, and 45% of these teens also said that they are online constantly. Cyberbullying comes into play as it typically refers to when a child or adolescent is intentionally and repeatedly targeted by another child or teen in the form of threats or harassment by means of cellular technologies or internet technologies. Now, there are several specific ways that social media has had an increase in risk for post-suicide behavior. One of the most common, of course, is cyberbullying. Now, cyberbullying and cyber harassment, for example, are serious and prevalent problems. A big reason cyberbullying is because of anonymity and disinhibition, which allows you to act differently than you normally would if the person was in front of you, but also comment things you wouldn't comment if the person wasn't face-to-face with you. And of course, this results in the abuse of the fact that it's not a face-to-face communication. Social media has led to virtual communities without physical borders, culminating both positive but mainly negative relationships. And as you can see in this graph is exhibiting the relationship of suicide rates specifically among females in the United States based on 1999 and 2014. Now, focusing on the age group 10 to 14 and 15 to 24, you can gradually see the increase over the years. And this says the deaths per 100,000 in a specified group. So it went from 0.5 to 1.5 by 2014, and from 15 to 24 age group, it also went from 3.0 to 4.6. Many young people inform their guardians, parents, or even teachers about the cyberbullying they have encountered, but often others cope with it by themselves. And as you can see in the graph, the increase allows you to know that many of those cases unfortunately end up in a suicide. Social media encourages and pressures youth towards suicide when things like cyberbullying, sexting, or disseminating information about self-harm techniques and pro-suicide content is available on social media. Now, in resolution, social media will continue to grow, and it's up to us whether it grows positively or negatively. The key to that is putting an ending to cyberbullying in attempts to decrease suicide rates. I further developed my counterclaim that many people could argue that it's a violation of First Amendment right to try to put a stop to them having an opinion on someone or how they look or anything above. Also, people can argue that any monitoring from posts or comments or even their personal messages on Instagram or Twitter or any social media site could be an invasion of privacy. The possible solutions I could come up with were laws giving more liberty to limit speech when considered a threat to someone's safety. As seen in this political cartoon, we have Uncle Sam holding a box that says control of internet speech. We also have a man representing corporate media asking, how would you like this to be wrapped? Behind, we have an anti-terrorism and a protect kids wrapping paper. You can kind of interpret anti-terrorism as not going against the constitutional rights that we have, so freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And you can also see that it has the protecting kids. So he's kind of asking him, do you want to not go against the Constitution and allow us to have the freedom of speech and freedom of expression, even if it's negatively impacting people and having a danger to their safety? Or do you want to protect the kids of the United States and stop cyberbullying? Another possible solution I could come up with, speaking about cyberbullying and suicide, especially in schools, because you can find an abundant amount of students in schools who are going through a similar thing, whether that's not fitting in or they look a little bit different. Cyberbullying and suicide can be common, especially in schools. Now, the final solution I could come up with was higher monitoring of posts and comments to ensure cyberbullying isn't taking place. For example, Instagram allows the option that if you don't like a photo, account, or post, you can report it, and they have many options like I just don't like it, where they will simply just take it off your feed, or you can report it for nudity or pornography, hate speech or symbols, violence or threat of violence, sale or promotion of firearms or drugs, intellectual property violation, self-injury, and of course harassment and bullying. Where Instagram will further grab what you reported, they will go through their guidelines, and if it goes against their guidelines, they'll report it and let you know. Or they will take out the post, comment, or suspend the account, of course. Now, the limitations to this is that there have been social media sites with higher monitoring for negative content, but eventually users found other ways to continue their cyberbullying. To end it off, I would like to close off with a Bob Dylan lyric from his song Blow Me the Wind, another one of our stimulus, in which he says, "How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died?" So how many more suicides do we need to occur for us to actually initiate and put a stop to cyberbullying? Thank you. What questions do you have?
Thanks, Nicole. I do have 2 questions for you. First question, what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and then why didn't you use it?
I wanted to talk about more psychologically the effect of cyberbullying, but I didn't want to include it in my presentation. I wanted to talk further more about it in my essay.
Okay, and if you had more time, what additional research would you have done?
If I had more time, I would have wanted to conduct a survey in school of how many people have really experienced cyberbullying or seen cyberbullying happening, and further put that into my essay and also indulge it into my presentation.